me for this little cook along. I'm going to be doing a slow roasted belly of OSB pork, and I will also show you how to do a caramelised apple sauce in a recipe, and also the lovely jus that goes with it. So to prepare, last night the pork was in the fridge uncovered on a plate, and as you can see, it's unscored. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pat it dry now. I'm going to drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to use garlic infused olive oil, but you can use plain, or indeed if you like a bit of a kick you can use chili infused olive oil. So just a drizzle. And make sure it's in all the nooks and crannies there, and on the sides too. And in here I've prepared about half a teaspoon of fennel seeds, which I've crushed, along with black pepper and fine sea salt. So we're just going to sprinkle this all over the pork. Again, if you like a kick, you can add your own ingredients, maybe some chili flakes or another seasoning if you prefer. There we go. So rub that in all over. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make a little nest of foil paper. Aluminium foil, and we're going to cook the pork belly in that. So a couple of sheets of aluminium foil, and we're going to go that way. And what we're going to do is we're going to slow cook, and then we're going to turn up the heat at the end so we get lovely crispy crackling on the skin. So we're going to make this into a bit of a little box around our pork. There. We're just going to pat dry the top again, just to make sure there's no more moisture. That's lovely, nice and dry. So again, a little drizzle of olive oil. I'm using the same garlic infused. And then I'm going to sprinkle it with just some plain fine sea salt over the top. About half a teaspoon. Then you're going to put it in the oven for 2.5 hours at 140 fan. After an hour and a half, I'm just going to check it and tighten the foil around it, because the pork will have shrunk a little bit, but we'll come to that shortly. So there we are, ready for the oven. So I've set my timer for 1.5 hours and we'll check the pork then. So we're 1.5 hours into the bake, or the cook with the pork. I'm just going to get the pork out of the oven and tighten up the foil around it because it will have shrunk a little bit, as you can see. Apologies, it's quite hard to do one-handed. Keep it nice and snug. And then it goes back in the oven for another hour. Here we have the ingredients ready to start making the vermouth jus. So there's a small celery, stick of celery there, cut up finely, 1 carrot, half an onion and a couple of bay leaves, just crushed so that the oils come out, and a knob of butter in the saucepan, and a beef stock cube there, which I'll add some boiling water to in due course. But first of all, I'll get the butter melted. I've put the ingredients here in the pan, and there's also a small garlic clove finely sliced in there. Sweat all of that off, and then once that's all sweated off, I'll add the stock and the vermouth at the end. Sweat that down until all the vegetables are soft, and then we'll add the beef stock. So the veg have been sautéing for about 5 minutes or so. Looking very nice. I'm going to add the stock and the vermouth and cook that. Bring it to the boil, and then really simmer on a low heat for a long time. So you can always make this in advance and just heat it up at the last minute. And if you have white wine, that's fine, some dry white wine or a dry vermouth, it's always good to add. The vermouth gives it just a bit of a fruity flavour also. So you can turn that to a low heat again, pop the lid on and let it simmer gently, checking on it every now and again. So this is the caramelised apple sauce which I made yesterday, and it's been in the fridge overnight. So for this you need 3 eating apples, peeled, cored and sliced thinly, 1/4 cup of caster sugar, 2 tablespoons of vinegar. I used cider vinegar, but you can use sherry vinegar. 50 grams or a tablespoon of unsalted butter, and a pinch of salt. Now I used salted butter and omitted the extra salt. So basically you put the sugar in a saucepan over a low heat and you leave it until it makes a caramel. And then once it's made a nice caramel, you can add the apples and the vinegar, and you stir it well and cook it for around 10 minutes until very soft. Obviously if you're using salt, then add the salt then. Then right at the end you add the butter, stir it together, and that's your apple sauce. If you prefer a fine apple sauce, you can use a stick blender to whiz it all up. I've kept it in a fairly rustic style, so there's a few little bits of apple there, so it's not just a smooth puree. But it's perfect to have with the pork belly that I'll be serving later, or indeed any other pork dish. Lots of uses and lots of possibilities for it, so enjoy. Little video is about my side, which is going to be a Brussels sprouts dish, but with a bit of a twist. So I'm heating some olive oil in a pan, just some plain olive oil, and I'm going to add some of my OSB bacon, which I have cured myself and smoked over maple, and it's been chopped quite chunkily. It was frozen, I've defrosted it, and that's why I'm just patting it dry now. It's looking rather nice, so I'm going to add that to the pan and fry that off. Render out as well. Then we're going to cook that with some little bit of onion, small amount of garlic, and Brussels sprouts. So these come already blanched, so they just need a brief fry off with the onion and bacon, and they'll be delicious and finished with a bit of sour cream at the end. So that's been frying for a few more minutes. Wow. Oh wow, smells amazing. Right, I'm going to add the Brussels sprouts now. So this is a dish you can prepare ahead of time. It's great for festive times like Christmas as well, if you want your sprouts, and people don't like Brussels sprouts generally. I'm sure they will love this with their OSB bacon. Right. Cook that for a little bit with the lid back on. Then the final stage will be to season and add in some sour cream just before serving. Well, we are 2.5 hours on now. My buzzer is going. It smells absolutely amazing. Sorry, my camera's fogged up. Right. Goodness me, look at that. Look at that. So, what we do now is we turn the oven up high, and then we'll pop the pork back in once it's been lifted out of the foil and put on the rack, and that way we'll be crisping up the skin, and the belly underneath will have been cooked slowly, almost like a confit in there. So next stage shortly. So here I'm just about to lift the pork belly out of its little foil nest, and I'm going to put it on a roasting tray, and that's for the last half an hour of its cook on a high heat. So I'm just heating up the oven to 240 degrees centigrade. In the meantime, what we want to do is make the belly as horizontal as possible. You can see this little bit here is slightly lower, so I'm just going to ball some aluminium foil up to make it horizontal. So I'll pause this while this is after 15 minutes on a very high 240. So I'm just going to turn it around. Oh, that's looking good. Turn it around so that it will cook evenly in another 15 minutes. Pretty good. Look at that. It's hot. So we're going to rest that for 10 minutes and then we're going to carve it and enjoy. So here we are, the finished product. It's been resting for about 15 minutes now. I don't have a good serrated knife, but you could cut it with a serrated knife. I'm doing it obviously the wrong way round, but you can just see how delicious that is. I'll turn it over, see if I can cut it this way as well. No, it's easier the other way around. Wow. Smells amazing. We're going to feast tonight. Lovely. Thank you for watching and hope you cook it as well and enjoy.